Everyone, and it's Charlene Lee here. And today I'm going to be talking about how to audit your generative AI strategy. And the reason why I think this is important is, first of all, it's going to take a look at how robust your strategy is and also make sure that it's aligned with your existing business strategy. What I'm finding a lot is happening is there's a lot of experimentation, there's a lot of innovation around how do we use generative AI? So it's a lot of experimenting, a lot of testing of use cases, but I'm not seeing it quickly evolve into a place where, okay, this is how we're going to use generative AI to help us achieve our long term business and strategic goals. And I think this is so important because so many of us recognize that generative AI can be extremely transformative to our businesses, to ourselves, to our communities, and to our society. But unless we direct that potential, unless we can understand those opportunities in a strategic, long term way, we're not going to be well positioned to take advantage of them. So, what I want to talk about today is how do you formulate a strategy? And I think the first foundational part is to just audit your existing strategy. What are you doing today? And align it again with your core business strategy. So, the audit is both of your generative AI strategy, but it's also an understanding of your existing core business strategy. What are the foundations of it? And how can generative AI support you in doing that? So what I want to do today is give an introduction into that. How do you conduct an audit? And then also, I would love to hear from you how you are thinking about this. So, Jake, thank you very much for joining. Please share where you're coming from today, and also share how are you making efforts to make sure your generative AI efforts are aligned with your business goals. What are you doing to make sure that happens? All right, let's see. Let's get into this. All right, so I have a few slides, as you can imagine. Let me figure out how do this. You can get the slides at charlenelee.com/strategy-audit. And one of the things I really want to focus on today is what is strategy. Now, strategy can be defined by a lot of different things, but the way I define it as is strategy is how we play and how we win. Our understanding of what the landscape looks like, what does the playing field look like, and how are we going to go out on that field? How are we going to compete? And more importantly, how are we going to win? And when I define winning, that's a key part of this is what is your definition of winning? What is your measurement of success? And I think the best measurements out there are ones that are very customer focused. So we'll talk a little about that at the later on. But I think this core idea is how do we play? Where are we going to play? How are we going to prioritize? What will we do? What won't we do? But in particular, how are we going to win with the resources and the people and the time that we have? So let me get into a little bit about how we actually do this. So one of the ways that I think about success is there alignment across your organization? And the easiest way to test this is to ask everyone in your organization, can they answer these three questions? Who is our future customer? Again, what is the place we're going to be aiming for? What is the place? What are the places we want to play? Who are the customers we want to serve? And what are their needs? And how are we going to serve them? And then what is our strategy to be able to meet those needs? We're here today. We anticipate we want to be here in the future. What is our strategy going to be to get there? Step one, step two, step three. What will we do? What won't we do? So where are we going to play and how are we going to win? And then the third question that everyone should be able to answer is how are you personally contributing to your strategy's success? Because it's one thing to say, this is our strategy, but if nobody knows what it is, if they can't articulate where we want to be, how we're going to get there, and very importantly, if they do not understand what their role is in making that strategy a success, it's not truly a strategy. So I think it's so important that we be able to answer these three questions. And in the end, I've asked these three questions in hundreds of settings at this point, anywhere from conferences to executive workshops to board meetings. And there's a little kind of awkward chuckle that goes up like, I don't think we could even answer those questions amongst ourselves in a consistent way. So this is a key part of the strategy audit is how well can you answer those three questions? How well and deep can you go inside your organization to be able to even understand and articulate what your core business strategy is? Because if you can't do that, then it's going to be hard to articulate a coherent generative AI strategy that aligns with your business goals. So, what I want to talk about today is how do you actually do this? So, I want to talk about how do you conduct an audit of your generative AI strategy. And again, this is again a generative AI strategy that supports your long-term business goals. Basically, what we're going to do is understand the biggest opportunities and gaps between your AI goals and your business goals, and prioritize your actions and resources. All right. So I had no idea. There were a couple comments in here. So as we go along, let me just make sure we have all of them. We have Leonardo Jose de Souza. So welcome, coming from Brazil. So a long ways coming from today. So thank you for joining today. Again, please chime in. Let me know where you're coming from today. I'll give you a shout out. Ask any questions that you would like to have. And then also, again, please share what you are doing in your organization to look and make sure that your generative AI efforts are supporting your business strategy. All right. So I'm going to come back to the presentation here for a second. I want to talk a little bit about what the steps are. And first of all, we want to take a look at what are the underlying assumptions of your core business strategy. How do you think about the world? And making sure that everyone in your organization has the same assumptions and are making the same ones, because you'd be amazed. You can maybe articulate the reasons why the strategy is there, but can you articulate the assumptions that go in? Because what you want to do then is to test those assumptions to see if they hold true still in a world of generative AI. And then what are the opportunities and threats that are appearing because of generative AI? That's a fun discussion. We'll go into that a little bit more. And then do you have the capabilities and resources to actually win in the places where you want to go and exploit those opportunities, and also make sure and mitigate those risks and threats? And then finally, what the measures are of your strategic success. So let me get into each of these very quickly. So the assumptions underpinning your strategy, and this is the key part of the audit that I think has more to do with your business strategy and less to do with the generative AI specific tactics. These are the questions to ask and understand. How will our customers' needs evolve? What are our assumptions of what the future will look like? What assumptions are we making about our competitors and the actions they can take and will take? How quickly will they respond to the opportunities that we've identified? How prepared are our leadership and our teams going to be to take on this challenge? And we'll go into that a little bit more in looking at the capabilities. But what assumptions are we making here? Are we going to be able to rise to the task, or are we going to need extra support in order to get to where we need to be? What new entrants are going to come into this space, and also what new partnerships need to be developed. And so this is a very iterative process. And what you want to do is to lay down in paper how we assume the future is going to unfold. Because having alignment on what these underlying assumptions are going to be is a key part of what you want to be doing. All right, so let me go on and see if there are any questions here, first of all. We have, yeah, here's a great question from Jay. Is the customer or community, the strategic value of generative AI is meeting broader needs for advancing agency, trust, purpose, and values? You have a great point here. I do believe customers are at the foundation of any organization, again, whether it be for-profit, nonprofit, governmental, and in many ways, who your constituents are. Because if you're not serving those constituents, Jay, then the broader ambition of serving your larger community and society are not going to be met also. So I do believe customers are at the center of everything that we do, because that's why we exist. Our purpose is to do that. And again, in some cases, it may be our community and our constituents that we are serving. So again, customers are a term I think that we can think of very narrowly, but also very broadly. We also think about other stakeholders like employees, partners, society, community as well that need to be taken into account? So, great question to ask around that. All right, let me go back to just talking about the underpinning strategies because I find it fascinating when I do these audits and I ask these basic questions. And if you're familiar with Michael Porter's five forces, this is a takeoff on that in many ways. And it's a really nice, easy framework to use to just understand what is our strategy? What do we assume about the world? Do we look at it from the same perspective? And to make sure we're all on the same page. Because if you're not, then let's clarify this. Make sure we are all on the same page. Make sure that the assumptions are clear and understood. Because your next step after this is going to be, well, what are the opportunities and threats created by generative AI that could threaten those assumptions? So identify 4 or 6 of these external trends influencing the business, and we can talk about generative AI, but more specifically, what does it allow us to do? What is the impact of generative AI on each of these trends? Now, there are larger trends that are out there in the industry, but how is generative AI accelerating, decelerating, creating new trends that we need to watch? And the reason I like trends is that it's not a static thing that is going to be unchanging. One of the biggest dangers of strategies is that you lock and you load and you just leave it there. Like, this is our strategy, it's etched in stone, and we're going to stick with it for the next 3 to 5 years. The reality is everything is constantly changing. So a strategy that understands and says that these are the biggest trends that are going to impact our business. This is how generative AI is going to support that or change it. It's going to create opportunities. It's going to create new threats. And then you focus on the trends that you know you can influence. The economy, you're not going to be able to influence that very much, but you need to understand the trends of that. But various actions like new technologies, the direction of generative AI, the way that people are adopting it, these are trends that you can understand, that you can monitor, and then modify your strategies and actions you're going to take. And the last part of this, the very last square I have here, is take a pre-mortem mindset. And what I mean by that is understand and anticipate the things that are going to go wrong. What could fail around the tech? What could fail around the ways that we see opportunities? How do we not see past our blind spots? What are our blind spots? So, this is a really in depth way of looking at opportunities and threats. Again, you may be familiar with something called a SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I'm not going so much into strengths and weaknesses. That could be also part of the audit that you do to understand where you're strong and weak. We're going to talk about that with the capabilities next, but I really focus on opportunities and threats because this is the way they think about generative AI. It's going to create so many different ways that you can create new opportunities. It's also going to create quite a few new threats. Again, I think of this as a technology that is neutral, and how we use it, how our customers, how our competitors, how our employees use it really determine whether it's an opportunity or threat. So sure, again. So let me see here. A couple of the questions here. Jay has a great point. For yes, for sure, there will be tech blind spots that you won't be able to see. Again, I keep going back to having this pre-mortem mindset, not post-mortem, where you go out and say, like, what are the things that went wrong? You're anticipating the things that could go wrong, things that could change. What are the blind spots you could have? And we have so many because we don't know where the technology is going to evolve to, but we have a general idea. We could argue about the pace and the speed at which and the scale at which the change is happening, but we know that change is coming, and so we need to prepare for that. All right, let me go into the next slide. I have just a couple more here. And again, I just want to ensure that if you have any questions, please by all means ask them, and I'd be happy to go into more detail. So this is where we talk about the capabilities and resources. Again, you can think of this as strengths and weaknesses, but I like to get a bit more granular and give you a list. So if you have some aspirations, some goals that you've identified for your business goals 1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera, whatever they're used, what are the applications and use cases you can see now with generative AI to support those goals? And then also, what are your capabilities that allow you to achieve those goals? So I put at the very top What does leadership and culture look like? Because what I found in my research is that the organizations that are able to move very quickly into use case testing, but more importantly, align what they're doing with generative AI with their business goals are the ones that have great leadership and a great culture. And what I mean by this is that the leadership is deeply involved. They're hands on. And these are the very top levels of the organization. We're talking about the CEO chairing and leading their AI strategy, pulling together the AI council, actively pushing and seeing generative AI as a key part of their transformation and their strategic goals. And the culture, again, organizations that have been through a digital transformation, who are much more comfortable working in an agile way, are comfortable with things not working all the time. In other words, they have a great relationship with failure. These are the key underpinnings to make leadership and culture work across any of these goals. And if nothing else, I would say if you don't have anything else in place, these are the things to focus on because if you have great leadership and culture, you will be able to work through all the other issues that you have. So then the people, do you have the skills? Do they have the mindsets? Do they have the ability to take action? Do they have a sense of agency to be able to make these changes happen? The processes, the workflows, do you have people in operations to help standardize, capture best practices as you develop them so they're ingrained into your organization? Data. Data is the font of and the foundation of everything you do with generative AI. So what is the unique data that you are putting to work? Do you have access to it? Do you have good data governance? And then finally, technology. At some point, I'll be talking about the technology stack and going into more of the data and tech to think about how it's evolving. But how do you think about technology? Are you using things that are off the shelf? Are you doing some minor customization, or do you need to put in a custom solution to achieve each of your goals? So that is a very quick overview of the capabilities. But a lot of the work I do when I do an audit is to go through each of these things. Where are you today? But also, where do you need to be 18 months from now to be able to have all of these capabilities in place to make sure that you're achieving these goals? And then I have the results at the bottom to be very clear. Do we have ways to measure that we're making progress with our generative AI efforts against these goals? And I keep, as we're going through this exercise, I keep asking the question, where can we develop an unfair competitive advantage? And especially, how can generative AI, our use and adoption of generative AI, give us that unfair advantage? And this is assuming that we can do it better, we can do it faster, we can implement it and adopt it in a way that our competitors and new entrants can't. And we can actually maybe even create a moat from new entrants coming into the space. So I keep coming back to how does generative AI give us this advantage that allows us to play in new spaces or to play in exactly where we are and give us more opportunities to win. All right, so let me see if there are any questions here in comments before I keep going on. Let's see, we have another comment from Jay. Again, I think stakeholders is a better way to think about it. Jay, you have a good point. Customers delineates and serves who's being served and implies a hierarchy. I absolutely agree with that. So something I'll take into consideration. So thank you very much for that, Jay. And then Leonardo has this question: what's your vision that some companies are just using AI to achieve efficiency instead of create new products and services with this future customer vision? Great question, Leonardo. I believe that you will, if you have these long-term goals, you will achieve productivity and efficiency gains. But if the only thing you are trying to do is to achieve efficiency gains, what a waste. Because you're taking a short-term gain of saying we can just save on people, we can save headcount, doing the exact same thing as we have always done. And by not taking a strategic point of view, and your competitors will be, I guarantee you, where new entrants will be, and they're taking that strategic view, they're looking at how do we win, not just how do we increase our profits by 1 or 2%. They're looking at the top line, they're looking at opportunities, they're looking at mitigating threats. And if you're only looking at one area, which is productivity and efficiency, that adds to the bottom line, you're missing a huge opportunity and leaving that on the table and walking away from it when it's sitting there looking at you in your face. So I hear the CFOs and the board members who are saying, well, let's just focus on productivity gains. And I think the biggest mistake there is they're thinking small, they're acting small, and they're going to stay small. Versus if you take a strategic approach, you're going to think big, you're going to act small, and going to scale fast. And that is going to make a huge difference in how you play and how you win. And so you can take a choice. This is a choice, absolutely. Strategy is a choice. And you can take the strategy of productivity and efficiency gains, or you can do something else. So when I talk to people about this, Leonardo, when I put it out in those terms, I go, okay, we want to win. We don't want to just do like small things and have little wins. We want to win big. We want to win with our business, with everything we have to again serve our customers, or as like Jay Johnson would say, serve our stakeholders in a complete way. So great question. Thank you so much for talking about that. So let me go on and talk about the last area, which is about measurement. And this is a very simple slide because people ask me oftentimes, how do we measure our generative AI to see whether it's good or not? And I am a big believer in having one set of key performance indicators or objectives and key results, whatever you want to call them, one set of metrics that run your business. Because it's that existing business that you say, are they going up or down? And use those business success keys to understand your generative AI success. Now, the hard part is sometimes connecting whatever you're doing in generative AI back to those business goals. And this is a very important key thing because you may have to develop other new metrics that provide you some of those tactical updates to let you know, is generative AI working to help you achieve those larger goals? So this is a lot of experimentation, a lot of trying A and B trials to say, well, does this metric align with our goals? Do they have a causality effect or are they correlative? So you want to start understanding causality. And if you're doing something here with generative AI, it comes out over here in terms of business impact. And the way I like to think about this, instead of thinking of generative AI as something completely new and different, you are using generative AI to do the things you already know how to do, but you're doing it in a much more productive way. It also can allow you to do new things that you could never have done before. Again, these are the new opportunities that you have. So, using existing business metrics to measure your generative AI success is absolutely crucial because you are not trying to introduce and create an understanding alignment around the value of new metrics. You're using your old existing metrics that everyone understands. It's on people's dashboards already for success, and you're measuring the impact of those with generative AI. Now, I've come across a couple of people who say, well, generative AI, I can't align it. I don't want to align it back to those business goals. Then you have to be ready for trying to get people to think about the business goals in new and different ways. And I can tell you that is really, really hard to do unless it's a new opportunity that everyone understands and wants to pursue. Your generative AI efforts are primarily going to be supporting your existing business efforts. And so, if you cannot demonstrate that it is supporting the outcomes of your business objectives, your existing ones, is going to have a really hard time making a case for bigger investments in generative AI. So the biggest successes, the biggest examples of companies where they're getting a lot of investment into generative AI, we're talking about millions and tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, is that they're making the case for why this is core to their competitive advantage, why it's absolutely essential to have these capabilities and skills to support their continued business objectives and where they want to be in the future. It is the only way that I have found to be successful in driving disruptive innovation, which is you're aligning whatever it is that you're trying to disrupt to existing goals that everyone accepts is really important. And if you're trying to move people off of that goal, it better be really big and compelling for them to drop one of their existing goals and adopt a new one. So, a couple questions here. Um, Let's see. We have from Johan, train your people first and give them the security and empowerment first and foremost innovation, align with business goals and values will follow naturally. So I think this is such a great point, Johan. I thank you for making this point. And this is why I put leadership and culture at the very top of your capabilities. If you have a strong culture with tremendous agency, psychological safety, the sense that people can go and adopt all of these technologies on their own because you trust that they're aligned on what you're trying to achieve with your business strategy, then that's going to drive innovation. Because instead of having to go and ask for permission, can we do this? Can we do that? We're not sure. You already know what you're trying to achieve. Everyone can answer those three questions. They know where you're trying to go, what's our strategy, and what the role is. And that gives them a lot of, of confidence to be able to take these risks. And it also gives their leaders and managers the confidence that they know what they're doing, that they're doing it for the right reason. So that's a great point. So thank you for Johan for reinforcing that. All right. I am getting short on time here, so I'm going to close up here. Again, the strategy audit is something that I've done with a couple companies. So if it's something that you're interested in learning more about, please contact me. You can email me at charlene@charlenelee.com. Contact me on any of the social channels that you're using today to watch this live stream. But I encourage you to do this strategy audit. And if you'd like some more pointers, more in-depth, more details into how to do this for your organization, please reach out to me. Happy to support you in whichever way I can. All right. So next week, I am going to be talking about how to pull all this together into an 18-month strategic plan. Now, people look at me and just go, how do you do an 18-month strategic plan for your generative AI when we don't even know what's going to happen the next month, the next quarter? The technology is changing so quickly. And I counter that by saying, how can you not have an 18-month plan? And I think the way that we think about planning needs to change. And in particular, how we think about planning for longer terms. Again, so many people are saying, I don't even know what I'm going to do this quarter, let alone next quarter, let alone 6 quarters out from now. But I'll talk you through how to do what I call a 6 quarter walk, how to actually make it workable. And again, this is not something that we created just for generative AI. It's been something I've been using with organization to drive disruptive change now for over a decade. All right. Let's see. Other quick things. Oh, I see a question from Leonardo. Do you believe that these organizational design structures at the companies is possibly innovative and working with AI? Again, I have seen organizations that are extremely hierarchical be extremely fast moving and innovative. Seen ones that are flat and non-hierarchical that are completely stuck and cannot move. So I believe that organizational structures have less to do and determine whether you're going to be successful at driving innovation and has much more to do with the culture that exists inside of that structure. So again, I've been studying disruption and innovation inside of organizations for over a decade and a half and seeing how people transform. And I have not seen one single organizational structure be successful. I have seen organization cultures be successful. And those cultures tend to be, again, very flexible, very open, strong agency, strong need and desire to take action. There's a bias for action. So you can sometimes call this agile, but it's not specifically agile. Also, it's not just agile practices, but it is a different type of mindset and belief that underpins that culture that allows people to work within organizational structures to make things work. We could go on and on about organizational structures, Leonardo, but it's a great question. And I will talk about organizing for AI in an upcoming live stream. So I do have it on my schedule. So we can talk more about that next time. A couple other quick things. I do have a webinar. It's coming up tomorrow, and it's Unlocking the Power of AI. You can see it at bit.ly/unlock-AI. And this is a much more sort of basic tutorial and workshop on how to use AI to write, to do research, to use it as a thought partner. But we're going to go pretty fast and talk about those exercises. And this is a great course and a webinar for your executives who may be on the fence about getting into AI, or it may be a deeper way for you to make sure that your skills are at that level And again, we're going to align that against your business strategy. And then in 2 weeks after that, on May 8th, we'll be talking about how to develop this winning generative AI strategy step by step. What are the ways to layer this? The audit is part of it. But we're going more in depth into how to pull together all the aspects of that strategy. So it's going to be a bit of a rocket ship ride because we're going to go through every single step in less than an hour. So we have time for your questions and comments. So, question from Ben Lighton: Is my new book out available for purchase? No, it's still being written and produced. So I'm hoping by June, but I probably will have an introduction available towards the end of this month, early May, that I'll be giving out to people if you are interested in learning more about that. If you'd like to get that, you can go and sign up for updates on the book. That's where I'll be putting out any sort of updates and information. Go to bit.ly/AI book-updates. You'll be added to my mailing list for the book, and you'll be one of the first ones to see whatever drafts I have that I'm ready to share. So thank you for that question, Ben. All right, let's see. Any other questions I have and resources here? Nope, that is it for now. All right, thank you so much for joining today. I'm a little bit over in my time, but thank you so much. I hope this was helpful. I wish you all the luck in pulling together a strategy and auditing it against your existing business strategy. And I'll talk to you next week to talk about how to put this into an 18-month plan. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.